Da begynner klokka å nærme seg, og da det vel egentlig bare å ønske god morgen. Og da vi klar for siste dag med digital konferanse fra Bodø. Og i dag har vi to innlegg. Vi har først da Elsk som skal ha et musikalsk innlegg som vanlig. Og så har vi han Arne og han Lars, Arne Jørgen og han Lars som skal på etterpå. Og til slutt så skal vi ha besøk fra Amsterdam der vi skal besøke Living Museum og ha Rokus. Så jeg håper dere får en fin opplevelse i dag også. Og så satser vi på at teknikken fungerer. Så nå starter jeg med første innslaget, og det Elsk.
Du må ikke slå på lyden.
Skål sammen, Jimmy.
Skål sammen. Det her siste dagen.
Dag 4.
Yes. Og vi skal tegne et lys, som vi har gjort på de andre dagene. Vær så god, tegne lyset, Kim. Skal jeg holde gitaren?
Ta litt sånn Jimi Hendrix og tenne på gitaren også. Så skal du få skikkelig underholdning her.
Og vi skal spille en tolkning av en låt. Jeg vet ikke om man skal si så mye om hva slags låt det Det tror jeg dere hører etter hvert.
Men dere jobber med mennesker som samfunnet av og til ikke hører. Det tror jeg denne sangen her tar egentlig litt for seg på alvor. At det av og til så den der stillheten øredøvende når man skal snakke på vegne av mennesker som ikke får sagt sitt i samfunnet.
Alle trenger en stemme.
Ja.
Mørke, min kjære gamle venn. Nu sitter vi her og prater igjen. Om et bilde som har lurt seg inn. Lagt et frø som ikke vil forsvinne. Synet som ble plantet inn i meg. Ligger ennå her. Bak en vegg av stillhet. Hvileløst går jeg alene. Over smale gata spisse steiner. Under glorien av ei gatelykt. Bretta kragen mot kulde og frykt. Øynene mine ble blendet av blits og neonlys. Tida frys. Mot en vegg av stillhet.
I det klare lyset kan jeg se 10 000 mann og kanskje flere som åpner gapet uten å snakke, som lukker ørene og legger hodene på skakk. Det skrives salmer, men ingen vil synge. Ingen hører, ingen tør. Forstyrrer en vegg av stillhet. Sa det var galskap, ingen tro. At stillhet en kraft som gror. Hør min stemme, så kan vi lære. Ta mi hand, så skal jeg være. Men ordene falt som regn på tørr jord. Ingen tror forstyrrer en vegg av stillhet. Folket stod bøyd og ba til neonguden de laga. Korselampen står og blinker enda, men alt de ser er lys som blender. Alt er sagt, ordene til profetene er lagt til slakt. De drukner snart i en brønn av stillhet.
Ja, da forstår jeg som at han har gitt oss tommelen opp, Arne. At vi er på lufta. Da må vi jo få benytte den til å si god morgen. Det her har vi jo gledet oss lenge til, Arne, har vi ikke det?
Vi har jo kjempelenge.
Vi skulle jo være på den konferansen i mai, og så fikk vi en invitasjon av Remi til å gjøre det på den konferansen her, og det har vi jo takket ja til. Ja. Vi skal snakke litt om din reise fra Andenes til Bodø.
Yes.
Vi har jo egentlig tenkt litt sånn at en reise er jo gjerne fra A til Å, men fra Arne så har vi tenkt at det er fra A til B. Ja. Fra Andenes til Bodø.
Yep.
Og det er godt nok. Hvis vi skal starte da i Andenes, Arne, kan du si litt sånn kort om hvordan livet var på Andenes?
Ja, jeg har jo vært fisker i mesteparten av mitt liv og hadde et rusproblem i over 30 år. Og den siste tiden så bodde jeg ute, jeg bodde på gata, hadde ikke noen plass å gjøre av med. Så jeg var ganske langt nede.
Det her var på vinteren, eller?
Det var på vinteren, ja. Så nei, det har ikke vært enkelt. Det har det ikke på en sånne små plass, vet du, men det er ikke noe hjelp å få, så
Hva er som fikk deg til å tenke at Bodø var en god idé? Hva er som...
Nei, det var ikke jeg som tenkte, det var ruskonsulenten som tenkte for meg, så søkte jeg meg inn her på Care her i Bodø.
Care, kan vi si det, hva er det for noe?
Det er en institusjon for rusmisbrukere.
Ja, korttidsenheten for rus, det er vel det som er, ja.
Og jeg havnet der etter hvert, og det var noe av det beste som kunne ha skjedd meg.
Når er det skjedde? Er det mange år siden snakket vi første gang på Care?
10. mai 2017 kom jeg til Care.
10. mai, det husker du godt?
Ja, det husker jeg veldig godt.
10. mai. Hvordan var forfatningen din da?
Den var veldig dårlig.
Ja.
Den var ikke bra.
Hva tenker du? Dårlig, hva betyr det?
Nei, jeg hadde problemer med å gå. Jeg var så nedkjørt. Jeg hadde det ikke bra som menneske det hele tatt.
Nei.
Og det var tøft. Det.
Du har nevnt for meg under reisen vår at du hadde en sånn idé om hvor gammel du kom til å bli.
Ja, jeg tenkte at hvis jeg ble 50 år, så skulle jeg være fornøyd.
Ja.
Ja. Og nå er jeg blitt 50, så nå er jeg fornøyd.
Ja, det har du alt mulig grunn til. Vi er veldig glad for at du stiller opp på det her, da. Og så er vi må jo si det Havsøy først, vi er jo stolt av det. Og vi vet jo at det er veldig mange andre som sitter og følger med, som også er veldig stolt av den jobben du har gjort. Og så vet jeg på Care. Du har sagt noe om Care, hva som endret seg på Care. Du sier at det berget livet ditt.
Ja.
Kan du være litt mer konkret på hva det som gjør at du føler det?
Nei, jeg kom på en plass som jeg følte at jeg ble tatt vare på, og jeg trivdes veldig godt der. Og den behandlingen som jeg hadde der, det var individuelt person til person, det var ikke sånn gruppeterapi som er vanlig rundt omkring. Og jeg hadde tenkt å takke nei på grunn av det gruppeterapien, men så fikk jeg høre det at det var ikke sånn det foregikk der.
Hvem er som sa det til deg? Hvor fikk du høre det?
Nei, det fikk jeg høre etter hvert når jeg kom på Care og sånn. Så jeg tenkte jeg måtte fare en plass, jeg hadde ikke noen plass å bo sånn her, så jeg startet med å komme på Care, da hadde jeg en tak over hodet i hvert fall. Og så tog jeg det på seg, og det er det smarteste jeg har gjort. Jeg trivdes kjempegodt der, og jeg hadde ikke lyst til å fare derifra når jeg var ferdig. Så.
Hva er som gjør det? Er det noe spesielt som gjør at du føler det?
Nei, det er de som jobber der, vet du, de som jeg fikk teamet med, vet du, Lise og Morten og Katarina og Lilian og de som var der oppe,
Hvis du skal beskrive dem, hva er det du sitter og kjenner på når du skal beskrive dem?
Nei, jeg blir glad i dem. Du fikk en følelse at de var der for deg. De var ikke bare der som jeg var vant med tidligere. Du føler at de som er der, de er bare for en jobb. Men der fikk en følelse for at de gjorde en jobb for deg, de gjorde en innsats for deg, og de støttet meg på alle mulige måter for å få meg sånn. Og det gikk jo en stund før at det løsnet, og sånn i begynnelsen så var jeg liksom sånn tilbakeholden. Jeg vil ikke ha noe med det der å gjøre i det hele tatt, men det var ingen som presset meg på noe som helst måte.
Var det viktig, eller?
Ja, det var viktig, veldig viktig for meg.
Du fikk ta den i ditt tempo?
Ja.
For du var flere ganger på Care, var du ikke det?
Ja, jeg har vært der 3 ganger. 3 ganger har jeg vært der. Kanskje 4, jeg er ikke helt sikker. Men, og hver gang jeg kommer dit, så har jeg fått det samme teamet, og det har vært viktig for meg. Da, sånn at de kjenner deg fra før, og de vet hvem du er, og de vet hva du står for, og alt det der, så man slipper å begynne helt på nytt igjen.
Etter første gang du var på Care, du dro ikke tilbake til Andenes, du?
Nei. Jeg bestemte meg for at jeg skulle bli i Bodø her. Jeg var ikke her i Bodø, jeg kjente ingen her. Her kunne jeg ha en mulighet til å starte på nytt igjen. Og det gjorde at jeg fant ut at her skulle jeg være. Så.
Hvordan var den starten i Bodø?
Den har vært bra. Fra alt overfor, så er det sånn, så jeg har klart meg...
Første gang jeg møtte deg var jo borte i Stille Dal.
Ja, det var i Stille Dal, ja.
Det var sånn siden jeg var med på, første gang jeg møtte deg.
Stemmer det. Det må ikke jeg huske det, sånn det gjør jeg ikke, men... Før du sier det, så...
Det er en litt annen mann som sitter her sammen med deg.
Ja, det er jo det. Nei, det har det.
Hvis vi skal liksom spole litt frem i tid, Arne, sånn at hvordan er livet ditt nå egentlig? Hvordan er situasjonen din?
Jeg må si meg meget fornøyd med.
Ja, hva er som er på plass nå? Hva er som har endret seg siden...
Nei, jeg har jobb, jeg har leilighet, jeg er snart gjeldfri, jeg har fått meg startlån via Nav, og ting begynner å falle på plass alle veier, så jeg har bare litt igjen sånn her, så er jeg i mål.
Litt igjen, ja. Hva er som er målet?
Ja, målet er å bli helt gjeldfri og få meg en egen plass å bo. Det er noe eget, ikke leie, men eie. Det er det som er målet nå. Og,
du har fått deg baby også? Du glemte det?
Ja, jeg har fått meg en hund, ja. Den har har noe å henge fingrene der.
Fikk en liten valp her, for å si det sånn.
Ja da.
Det er jo egentlig formidabelt det som har skjedd, da. Alt det som har skjedd underveis.
Ja,
det er jo hvorfor har det blitt sånn, egentlig? Kan du si noe om det? Hvorfor har det blitt sånn? Du nevner jo startlån, du nevner bolig. Du bor jo privat.
Ja, jeg bor privat, ja.
Kan du si noe om den leiligheten du leier, og de folka du leier hos?
Det er kjempefolk jeg leier hos sånn her. Han har kjennskap til alt som gjelder meg sånn her. Han har sagt det til meg at jeg trenger ikke gå stilt i døren der, så de er veldig, ja, jeg kan ikke ha fått bedre.
Hvordan når du sier dør, er litt sånn interessant. Hvor er døra di plassert den? Har du dør siden av dem, eller har du egen?
Nei, det har på nedsida, altså.
Du har en egen inngang?
Jeg har egen inngang, ja.
Er det ok?
Ja, det er helt ok. Det setter jeg pris på det. Jeg slipper å ha felles inngang, sånn her. Det tror jeg ikke jeg har lyst til det, så.
Nei.
Så den...
Det er sånn veldig viktig i folkebordet, å kunne ha sin egen inngang.
Kunne gå og komme uten at man liksom måtte, ringe på for å si fra her
Og gjeldfri, hvordan har det? Du hadde jo litt gjeld når du kom hit til Bodø.
Ja.
Du trodde det var veldig mye mer enn det var, og så tok vi kontakt med Nav, og så hva er det som skjer på Nav? Hvem er det møter der?
Der kom vi i kontakt med Anne-Marie, og hun satte i gang og satte opp og fikk oversikt og alt det greiene her, og det var ikke så mye gjeld som jeg trodde, sånn her, så det var ikke...
Det var mindre enn du hadde fryktet?
Ja, det var mye mindre enn jeg hadde fryktet, så...
For posten var vel ikke det beste du visste å åpne?
Nei, det var det jo ikke, spesielt når du fikk sånn post hele tiden, sånn her, så det var ikke noe artig sånn.
Nei, ikke sant?
Å åpne det sånn her,
men hun hjalp oss jo i gang?
Ja, hun hjalp oss i gang. Og...
Hvis du skal si noe om Marie, hva er det du følte deg? For du har jo fortalt meg at du har jo følt det at du opplevde at det var ikke noen sånn spesiell vilje til å hjelpe deg fra der du kom fra Andenes.
Nei, det er ikke det hele tatt. Så jeg hadde jo ikke lyst til Nav her i det hele tatt.
Nei, det husker jeg jo godt.
Jeg ville ikke ha noe med det å gjøre, men der måtte jeg bite meg i tunga. Der fikk jeg en helt annen opplevelse. De imøtekommende så hjalp meg, og de var ikke noe... Nei, jeg hadde ikke noe å utsette på det i det hele tatt. Jeg fikk en helt annen mening om Nav.
Ja, for vi har jo egentlig hatt med Nav å gjøre i forbindelse med noe annet, og du er jo på jobb. Hvor er du jobber hen?
Jeg jobber på Sport og Outlet øverst oppe i Glasshuset.
Og du var jo på G-Max, den i konkurs, og så fikk du deg heldigvis fort en ny jobb. Og så har du en ordning som er via Nav, som heter?
VTA.
Som betyr?
Varig tilrettelagt arbeid.
Så det fikk vi også gjennom Nav?
Det fikk vi også gjennom Nav, ja. Det var...
Og det har jo egentlig gjort en stor forskjell?
Ja, de ekstra kronene i måneden, det utgjør mye sånn her, for man har ikke så mye å leve av, så...
Det er jo der kanskje du har gjort en formidabel jobb da, i forhold til det å bli nesten gjeldfri. Når vi kommer til desember så er vi nesten i mål, og da er du gjeldfri for... Hvordan er det?
Hvis jeg bør så bli borte fra skuldrene sånn her, det er helt forferdelig å ha det hengende over seg det der hele tiden, å være skyldig.
Noe av det var jo ganske gammelt også.
Ja, det var jo det sånn her, det var jo, men sånn er det når man lever det livet, vet du, så er ikke det regning, å betale regninger, det som blir prioritert først, vet du, sånn, det er rus først og kanskje overleve etterpå, så
det er litt som det der, du har levd et sånn innholdsrikt liv da, hvis vi kan si det.
Ja da, men jeg har jo det sånn, og det har vært et hardt liv, det har det.
Men vi skulle søke den gjelda du hadde. Vi vet at det finnes ulike ordninger og sånn her rundt i kommunen. Og så skulle vi jo søke startlån. For det hadde vi jo hørt om. Hvordan gikk det for seg?
Nei, jeg fikk et par avslag først, og så tok med dere tak i det, og så fikk det snudd, og plutselig så fikk jeg det innvilget. Og det var jo noe som jeg ikke hadde egentlig regnet med, sånn sett. Jeg forventet jo ikke noe i det hele tatt, sånn sett, sånn når man får.
Kan du si noe, hva er det du fikk innvilget? Hva er det du har muligheten til nå, egentlig?
2,5 millioner.
2,5 millioner, så vi... Ja, har ikke vi vært på visning også?
Ja, Det har,
vi har begynt å få gå på visning.
Ja, da.
Begynt oss å se.
Men det er ikke noe jeg stresser med. Jeg bruker litt tid heller for å finne meg noe som... Og ikke hoppe til på det første beste, så jeg bruker å gjøre så.
Men det er jo sånn det at det starter, det er jo sånn at det står der en stund. Det fikk mulighet for en måned, og så kan du forlenge det, ikke
sant?
sant?
Ja da. Jeg tror ikke det var noe sånn at du måtte dato, at du måtte ha brukt det til da, så når du bare sier ifra, så fikk du det forlenget, så... Hvis ikke jeg misforstår det, så, men...
Hvis vi skal liksom, når vi skal koble inn Housing First, det var jo litt tilfeldig det.
Ja, det var tilfeldig.
Veldig tilfeldig.
Ja da. Jeg var hos ruskonsulenten, for kontrakten der jeg bodde var gått ut, så jeg måtte finne meg en ny plass å bo.
Ja.
Så jeg snakket med ruskonsulenten der, og så hadde dere kontor ved siden. Så overhørte du samtalen som jeg hadde med ruskonsulenten, og så kom du og høvde tak i meg og sa at jeg var kandidat for å stå på lista i Housing First. Og sånn var det at jeg kom i kontakt med dere. Og det er jo det verste som kunne ha skjedd.
Det er nå jeg sitter i en vanskelig posisjon.
Nei, det var det beste som kunne ha skjedd. For dere har vært helt fantastisk og hjulpet meg på alle mulige måter. Det å bli rusfri, det er den enkle biten, men å holde seg rusfri, det er vanskelig. Når man kommer ut, så har man ikke noe rundt seg som man kan støtte seg litt på. Så der har dere vært helt fantastisk. Hjelp meg å dytte i meg når jeg hadde noen sprekker innimellom og fått meg opp igjen og fått meg av gårde. For når man har disse sprekkene, så vil man jo helst ikke se verden i øynene. For man skjemmes jo og ikke vil til herrene, det synes man ikke noe om. Og dere dømmer jo ingen på grunn av det at de sprekkene man har, dere vil jo bare at man skal ha det bra og komme seg opp. Og det har jeg satt veldig pris på, at dere har vært der og støttet meg og fått meg videre.
Noen bananskall har du vært, Arne?
Ja, det har vært noen få innimellom.
Og så du er sånn som jeg opplevde, så er du veldig sånn flink til å snakke litt sånn negativt til deg selv, og så ikke vil ha noe sånn med omverdenen å gjøre, og så har man jo litt lyst til å ikke gå på jobben, og så har man egentlig lyst til å bare...
Ja, det er klart at i begynnelsen var man jo vant til å klare seg selv, og man er ikke vant til å få hjelp noen plasser, så liksom klart man får hjelp, så man følte seg beklemt, liksom, at det er sikkert noen andre som har mer behov for hjelp enn jeg har. Så det ble liksom sånn, men så skjønte jeg etter hvert at vi har behov for hjelp alle innimellom. Og det har dere...
Du opplever ikke at vi dømmer når du har...
Nei, ikke det hele tatt. Sånn, dere vil bare få meg opp og få meg videre, og heldigvis for det at dere har vært der. Sånn, hvis ikke så... tror jeg det kunne blitt vanskelig. Det er bare mest tenker at som regel når man er på institusjon, eller når man kommer ut, så det første ene som man tenker på det er liksom å begynne å ruse seg igjen. Men på grunn av dere så har jeg fått tankene på andre ting, liksom, og som sagt å bli gjeldfri og få seg egen plass å bo, og få noe positivt rundt seg.
En jobb er vel også viktig?
Ja, hvis jeg har bestandig vært i jobb, så det der å være arbeidsledig, det er dårlig sort.
Men du får de beste skussmål da. Du fikk jo deg raskt ny jobb når G-Max ble konkurs, så fikk du raskt jobb. Og det er for at du er en veldig driftig fyr, og en kunnskapsrik fyr.
Ja da. Det var jo G-Max jeg startet med Jakob på jobbhuset, det var det der jeg kom først, og han fikk meg på G-Max.
Hva er det jobbhuset var for noe? Vet du hva er det for noe?
Nei, det var på sykehuset, de som var innlagt.
I forbindelse med at du var innlagt?
Ja, så kunne man få jobbe litt der mens man var innlagt. Og jeg trivdes der også, jeg vil ikke derifra når jeg begynte der. Men jeg kom ned på G-Max, og der trivdes jeg også, det var kjempeplassen her, og syndig ble nedlagt. Men også når jeg kom oppe på Sport-Outlet, og der trives jeg også nå, så det er artig å gå på jobb om dagene. Liksom. Ja.
Og den arbeidsplassen du hadde, de har jo kjent til bakgrunnen din, de har jo kjent til historien din. Er det ok for deg?
Ja da, det er ok, for når man har de sprekkene, så vet de hva som skjer. Så man skulker ikke jobbe for man ikke vil gå på jobb. Man sliter jo litt i etterkant, så da er det litt vanskelig å komme seg ovenpå igjen.
Der kan vi si vi presser deg litt.
Ja, det er godt å ha noe som kan spenne meg i ræva av og til. Man trenger det.
Hvis vi skal se inn i glasskula, Jonsen, hva er det du tenker for noe?
Nei...
Nå har du blitt 50?
Ja, nå er jeg blitt 50, og
Vi er ikke ferdig enda.
Nei da.
Kanskje vi skal rusle over til C nå da?
Ja, jeg tror vi må gjøre det som det er å klare å bli helt rusfri er jo målet mitt, men jeg må jo bare innrømme det er vanskelig.
Ja.
Det er det. Jeg bruker å si det går 90%, for jeg har de 10% igjen som jeg sliter med, men jeg skal klare det. Jeg skal klare å bli helt rusfri. Jeg klarer det over lengre perioder, men så har man sprekkene innimellom, så ødelegger motivasjonen, liksom, faen, det her klarer jeg ikke, men
hvis det har jo vært noen bananskaller nå, så jeg vet ikke om jeg leser det rett, men leser jeg at du blir lei? At du blir mer lei etter en sprekk?
Ja,
det er jo ikke så lenge siden. Litt viktig å si nå at Jan Arne, vi har jo gått gjennom dette her, det vi skal snakke om, sånn at det er en del spørsmål som kanskje kan være litt sånn her privat og personlig, men vi har gått gjennom de spørsmålene her, sånn at Arne vet om de spørsmålene som kommer. Jeg opplever at du blir lei.
Ja, man blir kjørt jo lei. Tidligere så var det liksom kun rus og så leve etterpå, men nå har jeg liksom prioriterer jeg også leve, og så er det noe til over, så kanskje så skjer det noe innimellom en sjelden gang da, men det er ikke ofte.
Nei,
det er det ikke, men det er så mye bedre å våkne om morgenen og være frisk og opplagt og sove god natt og ha en bra dag enn jeg merker jo at man begynner å bli gammel. Man er jo ikke 25 lenger, så man er ikke det der. Nei, det er ikke noe stas lenger. Det er ikke noe moro.
Så du er egentlig positiv til fremtiden? Hvis du skal se inn i glasskålen 5 år frem i tid, så har du et ønske om å være rusfri og ha kjøpt en egen plass å bo?
Ja, det er bare
en egen plass.
Jeg ser liksom på kort tid tilbake liksom, hvordan det var da, og så hvordan det er i dag, så må jeg si det, det har gått over all forventning. Det har det.
Det er jo en formidabel jobb som er lagt i, Jonsen.
Ja, det har vært mye.
Det er du som har kjørt bilen. Vi har sittet bak, vi. Nav har sittet bak, og Kera sitter bak, og det er du som har kjørt.
Jeg vet ikke det som for jeg har noen autopilot for meg, sånn der. Vi er i hvert fall kommet dit vi har kommet.
Ja, det er jo helt fantastisk. Det er jo en formidabel jobb som er gjort. Hvis jeg skulle spurt deg om noe, Arne, hva ville det vært, eller hva skulle du spurt om? Noe som du brenner inne med? Det er nå vi har muligheten.
Jeg vet ikke faen hva det skulle være.
Nei, vi har egentlig vært gjennom en reise fra A til B, vi håper jo det at vi har bidratt til at folk kan reflektere litt og til ettertanke det vi har snakket litt om. Vi har vært innom ganske mange ting egentlig.
Ja.
Så vi føler vel det at vi er i mål.
Jeg tror vi har fått med oss det viktigste. Det tror jeg.
Det viktigste er jo det at det går godt med deg.
Ja.
Og så er det mange ting som har skjedd.
Yes.
Da tror jeg egentlig vi skal få lov til å takke for oppmerksomheten, og så skal vi ønske alle en god dag, Arne, skal vi det?
Yes.
Det er jo du en ekspert på, å si en god dag til alle vi møter.
Ja, særlig.
Ha en fin dag.
Ha en fin dag.
Hello, Rukus. You are muted, so you have to unmute your phone. Okay. I can hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning, and I think we are on now. So if you are ready, you can start your posts.
Okay.
You are muted, so you have to unmute your phone. Okay.
I have Louis with me, who is a singer-songwriter.
Good morning. Good morning, and I think we are on now. So if you are ready, you can start your posts.
Oh wow. Okay. I thought 10:50.
So a little bit for unmute your.
Can you?
Okay.
I have Louis with me, who is a singer-songwriter. Good morning.
Good morning, and I think we are on now. So if you are ready, you can start your posts.
The sound is coming back. I thought.
So
If you have your speakers on, it's going to echo back to us.
Who is a singer-songwriter.
But if we just give you the hon ska bara klö på. We'll give you the scene and you can just
You are ready?
if you have your speakers on, it's going to echo back.
Skjønner min går hele tiden. Repeat.
Just give you the hon ska bara klö på.
You are ready? We have some problem with the sound. Yeah, it's echo here. But I think you can start now, Rokus.
Han har en liten forsinkelse på.
Altså, jeg hører meg selv hele veien.
Ja, for han sitter ikke med headset på, han sitter med høyttaler og mikrofon.
Okay. I think you can start now, Rokus.
Men så snart du muter, så er det ikke det noe problem.
Altså, jeg hører meg selv hele veien.
Ja, for hvis han er klar, så er det jo bare å si at han kjører.
Okay.
If you're ready, you're free to get started. We'll just mute here. Så er det ikke det noe problem.
Did you get the echo out?
Altså, jeg hører meg selv
Okay.
hele veien.
Ja, for hvis han er klar, så er det jo bare å si at han kjører.
You can start, Rokus. It's okay.
You're free to
You hear me?
But it's
here.
I hear the sound coming back. The echo out?
Han sier han hører lyden komme tilbake.
Ja, men det gjør han ikke når vi gjør sånn. Og si at han kjører.
You can start, Rokus. It's okay.
You're free to
You hear me?
But it's I hear the sound coming back. The echo out? Put this thing on. Maybe that happens, right?
It's okay. You free to hear me?
But it's I hear the sound.
Turn off your speakers. Mute your speakers. Not your microphone, your speakers.
Oh, my speakers.
So you sound here,
yeah.
basically.
Because we're getting feedback from. Well,
Now he's asking, I think,
Okay.
do you have headphones?
I have headphones.
Should we try with headphones?
Yeah.
Vi må bare beklage litt trøbbel med lyden her, men vi er straks på.
That you're putting headphones in.
Vi er litt før programmet uansett.
Gotcha.
Okay. You hear me?
I hear you, but there's sound coming from everywhere.
Okay, I close my microphone now, so you can
No.
try to start.
Now it's okay. So are people watching me? Good. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. I hear you. Yeah. Now your sound is. Sound keeps coming back.
Okay.
It's crazy. Okay. Let's hope the sound doesn't come back. Good morning. Now it's okay, I guess, right? All right. Good morning. Here from the Living Museum in Bennebroek in the Netherlands, near to Amsterdam. It's only a short ride. The museum, unluckily, because of the COVID-19 rules, is closed for 2 weeks. So there are no artists here, but I have one with me, and we're going to start off the day with him. He's a good friend, and his name is Louis. Tonight he's releasing his new record, so maybe he plays a new song. I don't know, but he's a magnificent guy, so enjoy him.
I've been out walking. We don't do that much talking these days. Well, these days. These days I seem to think a lot about the things that I forgot to do. And all of the time I had the chance to. It's just that I had a lover. These days it's so hard to risk another. These days, all these days. These days I seem to think a lot about the things I still forgot to do. And it's just that I've been losing for so goddamn long. Oh, for so long. Oh, well, I keep on moving. Hey, things are about to be improving one of these days. One of these days. Well, these days I sit on cornerstones, count the time in quarter tones to 10. Please don't confront me with all of my failures, 'cause I have not forgotten them. Oh man, I have so much time to remember it all, remember it all. These days.
Thank you, Louis. Thank you. It's really funny that I can't see any people, I can't hear any people, but I'll go ahead. I'm going to share my screen with you.
If you try to just test it one more time, maybe the earphones, like the
Okay.
See if they fixed it.
Yeah. So let's share this screen with you. Okay. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the Living Museum, and it's called the Living Museum for Dummies. It's not that I think you are a dummy, but I think putting up a living museum is pretty easy. So I'm going to take you along in my travels on how I created this place. And I'm going to tell you some stories. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the philosophy of the Living Museum, where the idea came from. And I hope you like the story, the do's and don'ts of starting a living museum. So most of the time when I do, I speak at a conference, I start with a poem. And these are 2 lines from the poem, to be quite honest. I'm going to check my WhatsApp to see if things are going right. I'm on a hotline with Remy. So no 2 trees are the same to raven. No 2 branches are the same to wren. A raven, of course, is a bird. And a wren is a bird too. And a wren is a bird from New Zealand, a very small bird. And these are 2 lines I thought I would explain to you, which are in the poem, so you understand a little bit more what the poem is about. The poem it's called Lost. And most of the time, the people here in the Living Museum went through periods in their life that they really felt lost. A lot of people went through a lot of trauma. And I know most of you did too. We all go through difficult periods in our life. And, you know, it sticks to your brain. And hopefully they will fade away. But sometimes they stay with you. And on certain moments in their life, people feel that they are lost. And the poem goes like this: stand still, stand still. The trees ahead and the bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here. And it helps if you treat it as a powerful stranger, to ask permission, to know it, and to be known. Listen, the forest breathes. It answers, I've made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again, saying, here. No two trees are the same to raven. No two branches are the same to wren. If what a tree or bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still, stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. I'm going to put up my phone for a moment because I hear, yeah. Okay. I hope you like the poem. It's called Lost. It's from David Wagner. I'd like to thank you all because you didn't become sellers of vacuum cleaners. That's what this slide is about. Most of you are working in mental health, or you are people with lived experience. So thank you for joining me this morning and choosing a profession that really helps others. This is a presentation. It might be about trauma we went through. And this is an agreement I make with a lot of people that I meet, people that work here in the Living Museum. And it's a discomfort agreement because people went through a lot of bad stuff in their life. And we have to come to an agreement that, that we listen to each other, that we respect each other, that whenever people are talking, we wait until they're finished. And all this with the purpose of working together on recovery. So we will not assume anyone to be fragile, and we expect that people can take care of their own. Healthcare workers suffer from this uncontrolled urge to help people, and they take over people's lives. And I'm 62. I guess I spent 40 years on de-learning this characteristic of being a psychiatric nurse. And luckily I became 62. Wisdom comes with the age, people say. And I've learned nowadays to sit and listen and not give people unasked advice until they ask me a question to reply to whatever they say. So most of what I do, I'm getting a dry mouth, so most of what I do is based on these principles. The day before yesterday, you saw Sam Tamberas talking about housing first. To be quite honest, the Living Museum is a lot about housing first. I've worked for Sam for 4 months in New York in the year 2004, and it totally changed my professional, but also my personal life. I never recovered from housing first. Housing first is not about giving away homes to homeless people. It is about that, but it's much more. It's like an attitude towards life. It's an attitude towards other people. How do you look at other people? How do you look at people who don't fit in? Are you a world citizen, or are you somebody who isn't? And I take pride in, getting to know housing first and integrating it into everything I do in life, not only professionally, but also personally. So you see money first too. If some of you wants to know more about that, it's a project, a program that has been on television in 2016. And within this project, we gave 5 homeless individuals a bank pass with 10,000 euros on it on the streets. And we followed these people for a period of 6 months to see what they would do with the 10,000 euros. And the results were amazing. We did it in 3 cities. And most of these 15 people are really doing okay. They did clever things with the money, despite the fact that they were having psychiatric challenges, that they had addiction problems. They spent the money in a very wise way. And it's the same here in the Living Museum. I'm going to show you a short video. It says here, Rokus reads, doing is the best way of thinking. I'm going to not read it out to you because I've written out what is being said in the video. It's a very quick video. It's in Dutch, but it's with English subtitles. So I hope you can follow it. Doing is the best way of thinking. It says it all, to be quite honest. So whenever you come back to this presentation of mine, you can maybe watch it again. And if you don't understand the lines that are said in this video, here it comes.
Een structuur die rust en regelmaat biedt. Een structuur die fouten voorkomt en variatie minimaliseert. Een walhalla voor turfsmurfen, vinkvee, maar vooral voor slaapkoppen.
Een structuur versuft en wordt onopgemerkt voor werkelijkheid aanwezig. Creativiteit gedijt echter bij onvoorspelbaar.
Lucas, we don't see the video. We only see the presentation, the first picture.
You can't see it?
We aren't hearing you.
We don't see the presentation, the video. We just see the first presentation, the PowerPoint, the Living Museum for Dummies. I only see the first picture.
Oh, jeez. You see this?
Yes, now we see it.
Oh, so you missed all the slides?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's try again this video, okay?
Okay. It's now sound.
No sound?
No.
Okay. On my sound then, because otherwise, right?
If you look at the top of your screen, bring your mouse all the way to the top of the screen. There's a little thing that pops down. There's a little square button on that one.
With the arrow in.
Yeah. Okay.
Not with the arrow. Don't worry about the arrow. There's a little square button that says share system sound or something akin to that.
Oh, jeez. I can't see it, to be quite honest. Okay, Well,
if you can't find it, then you have to close the presentation. Well, not the presentation. Close the share and then share it again. But as you're adding the share, make sure you enable the share system sound on the left above the screens, above the selection for what you're sharing.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna stop this video because it takes a lot of time, right? Too much time. You can see this PowerPoint now, right?
No, we see the movie now. It's a picture of a group.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
That's okay. So this was a group of Norwegians in Portugal. And the person in front who is presenting is Jose Ornelas, and it was a great trip about Housing First, but also about the Living Museum. And so, do you see the slides turning now?
Yes.
Good. Good. What I really learned from him was a big lesson, because we talk about people that they are lonely, that loneliness is a big problem within the lives of people that we deal with, and he thinks, by the way, the opposite. He thinks that people are not lonely. He thinks that people lack a community. And so he provokes me and the people in my group to think different, turn it around. Loneliness doesn't exist. We are living in a society that excludes people from our families, from our jobs, from our homes. And that is the big problem. We can solve loneliness very easy if we pay attention to what happens to people, to people who live around us. And I must agree with him that to call people lonely is very stigmatizing. You know, the problem is with the society, with people, with the inequality in our society. That most people, a lot of people have no luck in life. You know, they face challenges that are very hard to deal with. And people who are lucky should take care of these people more often. It's time to change society for the better, and we can cure loneliness, to be quite honest. So this is a question Sam Tamberis was asked by a journalist on ABC television, I believe. How can we afford to help people by providing them with homes, people with big challenges like addiction, like psychosis or manic or depressive episodes? And I really love this reply, because he said, how can we afford not to do it? Speaking from a clever perspective, speaking from an economic perspective, or speaking from a humane perspective. So to call people lonely is stigmatizing them, is putting them into the victim role. Instead of that, we should turn it around and teach society how we can deal with people who are not lucky enough, as most people are. So I truly believe that every community deserves a living museum. It's not only an art museum, but it's also a place where people come together, where they can solve this loneliness issue by just being here, making art, making music, having lunch, drinking coffee, having talks. And I truly believe that if most communities have a living museum, that we could solve a lot of problems of people living in your neighborhood. So this is what the Living Museum in New York looks like. It's the old kitchen of the Creedmoor Hospital, which was squatted by Janos. And here on the left, that's Janos. On the right is me. He became one of my gurus in life. He is a very wise man who created this living museum with very clear ideas. And it lives up to what people need, to be quite honest. He became a good friend. So here you see a picture of the old building I was in. You see in the middle, Roca says welcome. We're now in a new building. But the painting you see on the wall, the big painting on the right, it was made by Isa Ibrahim. He's an artist of the Living Museum in Queens, New York. And once I saw this painting, I was totally flabbergasted. I loved it. I was shocked by it. But it also made me feel at ease. And I knew one thing, I had to buy it. So I paid him money, about $500 to buy this painting. And I took it to the Netherlands. I kept it in my house for 3 years. And in these 3 years, I begged for a building here in the Netherlands. To be quite honest, I went to see old hospital terrains where there still are some wards, but most buildings are empty and closed. And I begged the board for a building. And I bumped into a chairman of the board. She gave me an hour of her precious time, and I presented on the Living Museum. And when the hour was finished, she asked me, so if I give you a building, how are you going to do it? Because you have no money. What I hear is that you have a story, but do you have a plan also? And I told her, well, my plan is if you give me a building, I will clean it up and I will paint it. I'll paint the walls white and I will open the door. That is my plan. And I hope it's enough for you to give me that building. She laughed and she said, okay, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to give you the building. So that is the first moment I took this painting off from my house to this new place, the Living Museum, and I put it on the wall just there. And it is made by Isa Ibrahim. And Isa Ibrahim is a very great artist from the Living Museum. I texted him yesterday, by the way. I talked to him and I asked permission to tell his story to you. And Isa Ibrahim is about 50 years old now. When he was 20, he lived in a family, like a Woodstock hippie-like family. And it was very common that they would use pot, hashes, marijuana, and it was a lifestyle. But Isa was unlucky because he became psychotic. And at one moment, he truly believed that his mother was possessed by an evil spirit. And he also thought that in order to free her from this spirit, he should take her life. And that is just what he did. He took her life, knowing that she would be freed from this spirit. Of course, it was a very bad thing to do. The police picked him up. They brought him to a jailhouse. After 6 months, they took him to the Creedmoor Hospital, where Janos started his Living Museum. And he was lucky because he could escape the ward by going to the Living Museum during the daily hours and started painting. And he became a very successful painter, a very skilled painter too. He's an artist in every which way. He's a singer-songwriter. He makes videos, very critical videos about the psychiatric system. And he also wrote a book on what he did, the book with the best title, I believe, and it's called The Hospital Always Wins, which is very true, by the way. So last January, before COVID came to the world, I was in the Living Museum, and most of the time when I'm there with groups, Isa comes to visit me and to meet me, I mean. And my eye fell on this other painting, and I asked him, what is this painting about? He said, well, the name is, it's called Mom in My Heart. And it was a painting of Isa in a very bizarre position, and with an open chest. And within the chest, you could see a very small, profound painting of his mother. And there's no coincidence in life. So I told him, listen, this painting has come to the Living Museum too, because it belongs to the painting I already bought from you. And he allowed me to buy the painting. And it's here just opposite of me in the Living Museum since January. And you see this profound, I call it a recovery painting, but because he also told me that that by painting this painting, it was part of his recovery, part of accepting what he did and accepting the fact that he had to go on in life and make a living. So I'm very proud that it's still here. Are you in for another song? Are you? I see you preparing. Yeah. So tell me when you want to do another song. Okay. What's the time? Okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about the history of the Living Museum in Queens. It used to be a place that, like I told you, it's the old kitchen building, and here you see a picture of the terrain of the Creedmoor Hospital in New York back in the days. It's an old picture, and you see the circle on the top, which was the kitchen. So during the day, you could see at breakfast, at lunch, and dinner time, you could see rows of patients walking the aisles of this hospital terrain towards the kitchen where they could have dinner. And these dining rooms looked like this. They all had these nurses with uniforms on. And it was a very structured day routine for people. And I'm happy these times are gone, to be quite honest, because probably Nurse Regit from One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest ruled these dining rooms. This is like a map of the building, and you see all these dining rooms on the outside of the building. Every ward on the hospital terrain had their own dining room, and the patients they spent, some patients spent their life there in this hospital and probably their life in these dining rooms. So all these dining rooms, they looked like this once Janos took care of the building, squatted the building. And it was very worn off, it was empty. And Janos was fed up with the hospital system, and he squatted the building with the idea to create a living museum. So he did that together with Boris Grzyński, who is also a founder. I love his quote, "Use your vulnerability as your weapon." That is what I do in the Living Museum too. People come in here feeling like small dead birds. They truly think they have this delusion that they are not good enough for this world. That once they got this psychiatric diagnosis, their life just stopped. And I teach them, it is not true. You are truly worthy enough for this world, truly worthy enough for everybody, truly worthy enough to have a relationship, worthy enough to have a job, worthy enough to become an artist, worthy enough to have a position in society. So whatever people told you, it is not true. Schizophrenia doesn't even exist. It is a name that people came up with. We can easily come up with other words for a term like schizophrenia, like a vulnerability for psychosis, or a severe burnout, or when you see your life as being hopeless. You can also say that people are unaware of opportunities, or when people call you antisocial, you can tell people you're not antisocial, you just learn to speak for yourself. This is other words for the way we exclude people from our society. And the Living Museum is all about that, bringing you back to the person you once were before you got this illness or this diagnosis or whatever. By the way, this is Boris Grzyński. He died of cancer, unluckily. And so that is when Janos developed the Living Museum in New York further on. This is like the entrance way to the Living Museum in Queens, New York. If you are very interested in more pictures or videos, you can go on YouTube and on my canal, Rokersloopik, and you'll find a lot of cool videos which show you more of the interior of the Living Museum. So I was totally preoccupied with the Living Museum. Once I visited it for the first time, I had this dream that that I wanted to start this Living Museum in the Netherlands. Like I said, I begged for 3 years, and in 2016, this cool lady gave me the building. And now in the Netherlands, there are about 4 living museums. And for all I know, Norway has a living museum too in Stord. And I gave them a beautiful present at a conference in Stavanger. I'll show you the picture later because I didn't have time to integrate it into this presentation. So how do people get into the Living Museum? We practice an intake procedure of 10 seconds at the front door of the Living Museum. So new artists, they ring the bell. I walk up to them and I'll tell them, I'm going to give you 2 questions. And whatever you reply on the questions, your answer is okay. Are you an artist? Yes or no is good. Do you have a background in psychiatry? Yes or no is good too. Be welcome. We have no profile of people which says, do they fit in or not? We think everybody fits in. And people themselves are free to decide if the Living Museum is their place to go to during the 7 days of the week. And it's also their decision if they leave the Living Museum or not. We never send people away. And to be quite honest, in 5 years, we had no aggression. We had no situations where I had to send away people. Never. People decide themselves when they do it. So we have space for everybody, even for a guy who wanted to create a garden at the back of our building. And there are no crazy ideas. Whatever people come up with, they're allowed to do it. Let's see if I'm going to talk about, this is my new building, by the way. It's 1,000 square meters, and everything is totally covered with art. Maybe I'll talk to you a little bit about this slide. So every person walks the lifeline, and most people are being born with courage, and in the end, you know, we die. It's a lousy scenario. I would like to live forever, but I know it's not true. Along the way, we experience hopefully good stuff, but sometimes we experience bad stuff. And these traumas, they come together in what you can call concepts or lists or symbols, values, and it's always concerning active hurt. And when you went through a lot of this bad stuff, you become your trauma. So when people are confronted with a new experience, their reaction is mostly resistance, or it brings them back to their trauma. And they feel hopeless, they feel incapable of dealing with this new situation. And it brings you back to the trash can of your past. And most of the time, the way people behave is filled up with accusation. You know, if my father or mother would have done this, or if my head teacher would have done this, then my life would be different. Most people feel powerless to change their situation. And ratio and routine is also a comfort zone. I don't know about you, but in the Netherlands, I just checked it on internet last night again, because I check it every time I do a presentation. But 80% of the people in the Netherlands, they watch 3.5 hours of television every single day. And to be quite honest, I think these people are brain dead, because mostly what you see on television is bullshit. It's the only thing I agree with Donald Trump, that it's fake news. What you see is not what is out there in the world. This is an imaginary society. What is real, that I can touch this guy here, Louis, who sits next to me. And so what Housing First does, what the Living Museum does, is create new life events, create new situations that are so overwhelmingly powerful and so positive, that it brings people back to here and now. And this here and now is asking for new behavior because it's a new situation. And the Living Museum does quite that. You know, if you say, people, I'll ask you 2 questions, then you're in. Then they ask me counter questions. Do I have to pay? No, you don't have to pay. Do I get a studio? Yeah, you get a studio. Can I come here every day? Yeah, you can come here every day. Are there rules in this building? No, there are no rules. Why are there no rules? Well, if I put up a rule on the wall, we're going to have meetings every week to talk about these rules, because obviously somebody is not going to agree with these rules. So why put up rules? We don't have rules. If you want to have rules, make them every single day again. And this always leads to growth and creative reactions. It creates new lifelines in which people show responsible behavior. They think of solutions. They think of new initiatives. It's about strength. It's about being a human being. And I think if you are a social worker or any healthcare worker in any profession, it is your job to create new life events. You know, everything we do is so important. Just the strength of a handshake, or me turning away when I talk to Louis or some other person, bending away my body, it could mean the difference between life and death, to be quite honest. We can't fool people with mental health issues because they have 10,000 more senses than we do. And you can't fool them. If you're not there 100% and you're somewhere else in your head, they will notice right away. And that is why I like being around people with lived experience so much, because you can't fool them, and every talk is meaningful. It is about, you know, a very, how do you say that? A very lively issue. So I'm gonna ask Louis, I'm gonna like take away this, if I can find my arrow. Oh, wait. Yeah, am I there? Yeah. I'm gonna ask Louis to play another song for you. I hope you're in for it, because I think he's a really cool guy.
There she is, all golden, craving for your thirst. Like all women, there's no turning. Well, once you had your first, so cheers to you and your only one. Well, cheers to you and the only one who's now left. Well, good morning, she says, hanging so heavily over your sunken bed. The streams are turning sober. Well, she offers to cure your head. So cheers to you and your only one. Now cheers to you and the only one who's now left. Oh, die, die. You claim your past been stolen, now you hold it on to the rise that once was so golden is now drenched in with innocence of your love. So cheer to you and cheer, cheer, or school to us.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful, Louis. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a wonderful song. I love this song.
I know you love it.
I heard it about a lot of times. So let's go back to my presentation, right? Can you see this again? I hope so.
Yes.
Okay, good. So I have a movie here, but you can't hear the sound. This is a movie about the Living Museum in Norwegian. So if you want to see it, you have to text me, and I'll send it to you. It was made by Nadia Brusset, and she is from Norway, to be quite honest. And she came to visit the Living Museum. She made a really cool video about it. And
Lucas?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think you have
you shared the wrong one again.
wrong, because now you have your gmail.com picture.
Oh, geez. Let's see.
It's a little tricky because you have to start the full screen presentation and then you have to share it.
Okay.
There you go. That's good.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So let's see if I can turn the slides now. Do you hear this sound? I don't think so, huh?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Hva betyr det for et menneske å miste kontroll? Tenk deg at du har en familie, en jobb og et liv, så plutselig klarer du ikke å sove. Og etter hvert så er alt du vil å dø. Eller plutselig er du verdens største geni, og du klarer ikke å stoppe å skrive. Eller du blir mer og mer forvirret, begynner å høre stemmer, og se ting som ikke andre mennesker ser. Det er mange som sliter med sin psykiske helse i dag, og mange som føler at de ikke passer inn i dagens samfunn. Angst og depresjon, ensomhet og isolasjon er ting vi stadig ser og leser om i aviser og media. Vi reiser til The Living Museum i Bennebroek i Nederland, et levende museum hvor mennesker med psykiske utfordringer sammen har skapt et kunstnerfellesskap. Det første Living Museum ble startet i Queens i New York i 1983 av kunstneren Bolek Gresinski og psykologen Janos Marton. Marton mente at pasienter, ved å få uttrykke seg fritt kunstnerisk i trygge og gode omgivelser, kunne transformere sin psykiske helse, hvor fokuset skiftet fra det de ikke fikk til det de faktisk klarte. Mange store kunstnere, musikere og forfattere opp gjennom historien har hatt psykiske utfordringer. I Nederland er den mest kjente for oss kanskje Vincent van Gogh, som levde i fattigdom, skar av seg øret og til slutt tok sitt eget liv. Her hjemme i Norge har vi Edvard Munch, som slet med angst hele livet, for å nevne et par. De vi møtte under vårt besøk i Nederland hadde alle en historie med psykiske problemer, innleggelser og medisinering, som de delte åpent med oss. De var ca. 30 som kom til museet. Noen et par dager i uken, og andre hver dag. Samtlige vi snakket med, opplevde at fellesskap og tilhørigheten de hadde med hverandre og kunsten på The Living Museum, hadde hjulpet og hjelper dem med deres tilfriskning. Et par sa til og med at det hadde reddet livet deres. Denne typen outsider art, art brutt eller raw art, som det også kalles, har liten eller ingen kontakt med den etablerte kunstverdenen å gjøre. Ofte er kunstnerne her selvlærte og ikke bundet av den konvensjonelle kulturverdenen. Uttrykkene deres blir råere, ærligere og mer kompromissløse. De er kanskje aldri ment å bli vist til utenomverdenen. Vi snakket med Henk på 45 år, som aldri hadde holdt i en pensel før han kom til The Living Museum i mai 2016. Han fortalte oss nå stolt hvordan hans malerier solgte godt, og hans treinstallasjoner ble leid ut til forskjellige arrangementer. Når ingenting er sikkert, ja, da er alt mulig. Sammen kan vi skape et mer menneskelig samfunn, hvor alle har mulighet til å utvikle seg og leve ut sitt fulle potensiale.
I love this video and the music too, really very atmospheric. So this is Nadia, a cool picture of her. She has her own, I don't know if it's called Living Museum, but she has her own studio and where she works with people making art. So I'll go through some of the characteristics of the Living Museum. And I trust on Remy to tell me when my time is up or when people want to ask questions. So really what you do is you change the identity of people from traumatized person to an artist. And it is a process that goes very gradually. It is something that I, being a social psychiatric nurse, don't have to work a lot for. So most people, what they do is they give each other, the artist, the possibility to recover from whatever they went through. And I remember that once a lady who was with us for 3 months, she came up to my table and she asked me for a conversation. And she didn't seem like she felt okay. She said, "Yeah, I'm really angry at you." And I said, "Oh, okay, so let's sit down. And what did I say that made you angry?" Well, she said, "That's the big problem. You didn't say anything. I've been here for 3 months. You never asked me what is wrong with me, what is my problem." And I told her that I apologized for that, but I told her I had a not so positive message for her. I told her, to be quite honest, I'm not really interested in what is your diagnosis or what is your illness. I asked her a counter question. I said, "Do you know who I am?" She said, "Yeah, I know who you are." "Do you know my profession?" "No." "Well, I'm a social psychiatric nurse. And nurses suffer from the illness that they take over people's lives, that they they can't control their urge to help people." And I asked her, "How many times did you tell your story for another new doctor?" And she said, "Well, a couple of 100 times." I said, "Did it help you?" She said, "No." So I told her, I am the one who really has to be angry at you instead of you being angry at me, because I'm 62 and I can read in your eyes what happened to you. You don't have to tell me for another time what is wrong with you. What we do here in the Living Museum is we focus on your talents. We focus on creating a new life and hoping that you can snap out of your trauma for maybe a minute, for maybe 5 minutes, for maybe 10 minutes, for an hour, a week, a month, a year. That is what we work on here. And we want to change your identity in that of a successful artist. And we're a new family here. And if you're looking for a place where you want to be, whoever you want to be, this is the place to be, because we're a loving and caring surrounding. So leave your profession or your diagnosis at the door when you come to the Living Museum. You'll become an artist. In between, I show you some pictures of art that people make here. This was, a very let's say, confrontating piece of art. Some people had trouble with this installation because it brought them back to former traumas. And we had a talk about it with all the artists here, and you know, art is sometimes confrontating. It brings positive feelings, but also maybe not so positive feelings. And the artist explained to the people what he meant by this piece, and then people were okay with it. So it's a stress-free atmosphere. In our society, we exclude mentally ill people from our jobs, from their homes, from their families. This life is fast, and you know, we found out a way to diagnose people because of this. To my opinion, and to the opinion of a lot of people who work in mental health programs, mostly the behavior people show is an adequate reaction to crazy circumstances outside. So we have to turn it around. Maybe if we change our society into a less speedy society, a society that has more equality, a society where people can be whoever they want to be, people will not become ill. You know, most of the time when people become ill, it's a very adequate reaction to what happens around them. And it's up to us to, instead of like drugging people with medication, to find ways to make them live with these traumas, to make these traumas fit into whoever they are without being bothered by it. So that is what the Living Museum also does. Once one of the artists came up to me, and she was very excited because she said, Rokus, there's a man who wants to buy an art piece from me. And I asked her, so how many are you going to ask for this art piece? She said, well, 50 euros. I said, 50 euros. Okay, let's think again. So how many hours did you put into this painting? And she said, well, I worked for a week on it. So how many hours in that week? She said, well, about 50. And I said, well, if you work in a pub and you're serving people beer, how much euros per hour do you make? She said, I said, okay, if you worked for 50 hours on this painting, maybe you should ask 500 euros. And she said, well, he's never going to pay that. So I asked her, so how does this guy look? What does he wear? She said, well, he wears a suit and a tie and very neat shoes, and he looks like, you know, a very lucky guy. I said, well, don't ask him 500, but ask him 600 euros. And after half an hour, she came back with the 600 bare euros in her hand. He paid on the spot. So I can assure you that she didn't need a psychiatrist for the rest of the year. She was very, very positive, very happy that somebody bought a painting of her. And to be honest, Ingrid, when she came here 5 years ago, she had never painted before. So that is what art does with people. And I really love this quote. It's been proven by research also that that most people with mental health challenges, they have a certain talent for making art. And mental illness is synonymous with high creativity. So most artists who don't have these mental health challenges have to work harder to make beautiful art. And for all I know, a lot of famous artists in the world, they all had some mental health issues. So find a building, beg for a building, and start with €0 like I did, and open the door and invite people to come in. And please, you know, I know we have a lot of meetings within our mental health teams and systems. Stop these meetings. Just come together once in a while, talk about things that have to be done. But like having meetings every week for 2 or 3 hours, which people are bored at, stop doing it. Just and go out there, because there are people out there who need help, who need people to talk to. Make it a rule-free society in your living museum or your office. So imagine that that all the wards in this world look like a living museum. That has also been proven by research that if you create healing environments, if you create environments, psychiatric facilities that look like a 5-star hotel, people go home quicker, they become better quicker, and on the long term, it's much cheaper than keeping people in hospitals or jailhouses or supported housing programs. It's like with Housing First, give them a home. And 85% of the people will do what you hope they will do. So this is my board. Let's see if we have more points. Yeah. So my living museum is totally dependent on gifts, on donations of other people. I don't accept money from local government because most of the time in return for this money, I have to register it. I have to fill in recovery plans with people. There's a lot of bureaucracy coming in, and that's where I decided not to accept this money and try to go around with just the money that is being donated by people who who visit the Living Museum. And you see on this picture here, there's a lot of Norwegian groups in between there too. I'm very proud that they came to visit the Living Museum. And this is only a small amount of pictures. Thousands of people have come to the Living Museum for training days or for just staying with us for a day. And most of these people are very willing to donate to the Living Museum and make possible that you still exist after 5 years. The other thing about creating this Living Museum is that I want the artist to be in the lead. I am the director, and they love calling me director, but to be honest, I'm not so into that profession. And still, if there are decisions to be made that the artist can't make, I will do it. I will do it for them. But most of the time, 9 out of 10 days, they rule this Living Museum. Most of the times, I'm not here, and it's been like that for 5 years. And they are very capable of running their own program. And that is my statement to mental health, that it is not true that once you are diagnosed with severe psychiatric illness, that your life is over, that you have to be on medication for the rest of your life, that you can't have a job, that you can't have a relationship, that you can't marry, that you can't have education. It is just not true. It's a figment in the imagination of people who were trained to become a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a nurse. And I apologize because not all healthcare workers are like that. There are a lot of new cool recovery programs of people who turned the system around and turned it into a place that whenever you're psychotic and you walk in, you feel like you arrived in a 5-star hotel, that people are going to take care of you, that that there's green, that the colors are nice, that there's a swimming pool, that there's a sauna, all things we find in holiday locations. We should integrate them within our psychiatric facilities. So it's been more than an hour. I think, let's see if I have some more. I'm going to ask Louis, he's going to pick up his guitar, I see on the left. Let's see if I missed out something. This is where I'm sitting now. This is my studio in the Living Museum, and it's everything I collected in the 62 years that I'm on this earth. Everything here has value to me. It's worth a lot of money, and sometimes the artists come up to me and say, "Why do you do this? All your stuff, all the things that are really valuable to you are here. Aren't you afraid that people are going to steal it?" And I tell them, well, listen, if people steal it, they probably need it more than I do. So I want it to be there to inspire people, to give them new ideas, to give them this new life event that is going to change their life. So I'm going to give Louis the stage again. to close off with one of his beautiful songs, and I hope that some of you have some questions for me. Go ahead, Louis.
Breath of the morning, I keep forgetting the smell of the warm summer air. I live in a town where you can't smell a thing. You watch your feet for cracks in the pavement. And high up above, aliens hover, making home movies for the folks back home. And all these weird creatures, they lock up their spirits, drill holes in themselves and live for their secrets. We're uptight, yeah, we're uptight. It's just that we're all a little uptight, a little uptight. I wish that they swooped down in a country lane late at night when I'm driving. Take me on board on their beautiful ship. Show me the way as I like to see it. I tell all my friends, but they don't believe me. They claim that I finally lost it completely. I show them the stars and then the meaning of life, but they shut me off. But in here, I'm living all right. I'm living all right. Out there, it's just a little uptight. It's just uptight. Oh, just uptight, just uptight. Yeah. Oh. Good. It's not uptight in here. It's good in here.
So, Remy, are you there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
People have any questions for us?
You know, Rukus, we haven't rigged this session for communication, so it's not possible with questions. I'm the only one who is capable to send you questions. But I would say thanks for inspiring post. It was really many good reflection to bring on and take on. So I hope you have so many seeds around, so it's grown up a lot of living museum in Norway too.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I hope so. I believe there are a lot of friends from Norway listening to me, so to us, and I say hello to them. I really miss you, and whenever this COVID thing is over, I'm gonna come over there and kiss and hug everybody.
That sounds good. That's good. I hope we someday can come and visit you in Amsterdam. And we was there last October, but we unfortunately didn't bring on this living museum in the program. But next time.
Yeah.
So it was very inspiring to hear about the living museum and very good music. Nice.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
If people want to know who he is or have, you know, I have like hundreds of presentations. I steal them from all over the world. So don't hesitate to email me, rokus@icloud.com, and I'll send you a lot of stuff, videos on recovery, mostly created by people with lived experience in America. and let's hope Biden wins today.
Yeah, let's hope it.
Yeah. So if people want more information or business plans about the Living Museum, I can provide people with that. So I'm happy to give everything away I have. So
I think we're going to use your experience.
Good.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And have a nice day.
Same to you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ja. Jeg klarte å rote meg helt ut av Teams-møtet her, så det var et lite uheld. Da det egentlig bare å si tusen takk til alle som har hørt på, og håper dere har fått noe god inspirasjon med dere. Jeg synes det har vært veldig mye bra. Vi har selvfølgelig hatt litt utfordringer med teknologien, det sånn som skjer, men vi har jo sikkert lært litt nå til kanskje flere konferanser fremover. Nå ser det ut som at hele Norge blir stengt ned, så det kan godt hende at vi må kommunisere videre i sånne typer møter. Jeg vil ønske alle en god dag og si tusen takk for oss, og ses snart igjen. Ha det bra!